Hi, welcome back to Circuits with Angel. Today, we'll be learning about chips. No, not potato chips, but IC chips. An IC is an integrated circuit, but more specifically, today, we'll be learning about the 555 timer IC. It's a really fun and exciting IC. It allows us to build a bunch of cool circuits, like a clock circuit. I have a really big one right now. But before we can do anything like that, we need to know how the 555 timer IC works. But the 555 timer is made of a bunch of other components we have learned about before in other videos. And you have to watch my other videos before you can really understand it. I suggest you go take a look at these videos. The capacitor, transistor, resistor, and a flip-flop video. The links to these videos will be in the description below. First is pin 1, ground. The leg of the 555 that needs to be connected to negative voltage, also known as ground in our circuits. Next is pin 8, Vcc Supply. Vcc means positive voltage. Positive voltage must go in this pin, at least 4.5 volts. If any less than that, the 555 doesn't turn on at all, and at most 15 volts. If more than that, the IC will burn on the inside and never work again. I know I'm not supposed to go to 8 already, but these are the pins that require power to start the 555. And now we go to pin 2, trigger. Pin 2 turns the 555 timer on or off. It triggers on when voltage on it drops below a third of the voltage being supplied to pin 1 and pin 8. When pin 2 is turned on, the third pin output turns on as well. And pin 3 is output. This pin can turn on or off based on the trigger, or second pin. When it is off, it's called a low state, and the output is 0 volts or very close to that. For example, 0.012 volts. And when it's in its high state, or on, it outputs the amount of voltage going into the IC at pin 1, ground, and pin 8, which is VCC, also known as positive voltage. And pin 4 is reset. It resets the trigger, so if the trigger was on, it would turn it off when it gets power. Pin 5 is control voltage. In most circuits, this pin is connected to ground through a small value ceramic capacitor. The capacitor is supposed to level out the voltage going into the 555 timer and make sure no voltage fluctuations affected. This is a neat trick we will explore more later in future circuits. And then pin 6 is threshold. When the voltage reaches 2/3 of what's being supplied to pin 1 and 8, this pin turns the output to pin 3 low or off. For example, if we have 5 volts going in pin 1 and pin 8, and 3.3 volts, which is 2/3 of 5 volts, or more volts going into it, this resets the 555. You don't want exactly 3.3 going in, or it might not work very well. And then pin 7 is discharge. It's usually connected straight to ground. If there's a capacitor at pin 2 and it's connected to this pin, the capacitor discharges. And then we did pin 8 before, so thank you for watching and see you next time.